Hello and welcome to the 12th day of the Canadian federal election campaign. Yesterday, Trump announced his tariffs, and today was the day that we figured out how Canada is fighting back and how each leader suggested that they would fight back if they win the federal election. I'm sure you guys have seen this by now, but no one was safe. He even tariffed the penguins. Anyways, the result of the tariffs was absolute chaos in the US. The stock market just plummeted, and obviously it dominated the day on the election campaign trail. While announcing Canada's plan to hit back today, Prime Minister Mark Carney, who is also Liberal leader Mark Carney, but he was really speaking with his Prime Minister hat on today, said the US trade action will rupture the global economy. He called Trump's tariffs against Canadian goods unjustified, unwarranted, and misguided. Because even though we dodged that 10% baseline tariff, there's still a 25% tariff on cars and light trucks imported into the US, even though Trump said that there's going to be some kind of partial exemption for cars made with parts from the US. Like, that's unclear. It's not clear how that's going to work. And these tariffs also seem to apply to auto parts, which is wild because our supply chains are so integrated that these parts go back and forth and back and forth. So you can imagine what kind of impact that could have. And we're still dealing with those steel and aluminum tariffs. And then there's the 25% border related tariff on virtually all products to punish Canada for all of Trump's ridiculous claims about what's coming across our border into the States. Anyways, here's how Canada's fighting back. To match what the Americans just did to our auto industry, Canada is going to levy a tariff on US-made vehicles that are not compliant with the Canada-US-Mexico agreement. This follows the retaliatory tariffs that we imposed last month on about $60 billion worth of American goods. But a key difference is ours don't apply to auto parts and won't impact vehicle content from Mexico. On top of that, Carney said that all the money they get from these tariffs will go directly to supporting workers, who, as we saw, are already feeling the pain from these tariff announcements. We already heard today that auto manufacturer Stellantis is planning to shut down its Windsor assembly plant for 2 weeks beginning April 7th. That means thousands of people for those 2 weeks are out of work, and they also said that there's probably going to be other scheduling changes. So people are just in limbo, which is horrible. I feel horrible for the auto workers right now. They must be so stressed. Carney also said some pretty big picture stuff about our relationship with the US. Take a listen.
Yesterday's actions by the US administration, while not specifically targeting Canada, will rupture the global economy and adversely affect global economic growth. The global economy is fundamentally different today than it was yesterday. The system of global trade anchored on the United States that Canada has relied on since the end of the Second World War, a system that, while not perfect, has helped to deliver prosperity for our country for decades, is over. Our old relationship of steadily deepening integration with the United States is over. The 80-year period when the United States embraced the mantle of global economic leadership, when it forged alliances rooted in trust and mutual respect, and championed the free and open exchange of goods and services, is over. Well, this is a tragedy. It is also the new reality. We must respond with both purpose and force. We are a free, sovereign, and ambitious country. We are masters in our own home. Canada must be looking elsewhere to expand our trade, to build our economy, and to protect our sovereignty. Canada is ready to take a leadership role in building a coalition of like-minded countries who share our values. We believe in international cooperation. We believe in the free and open exchange of goods, services, and ideas. And if the United States no longer wants to lead, Canada will.
All of the other leaders today also focused on the tariffs in their announcements. After announcing his big economic fortress plan to withstand Trump's threats yesterday, today Poilievre promised to remove federal sales tax on Canadian-made autos, which interestingly is actually an idea that was first put forward by the NDP, who today suggested we bring back those tax-free war-era victory bonds, which Canada stopped offering years ago because the administration costs were too high. But Singh batted down those critiques today, saying that we're in a very different context right now. The Bloc Québécois, meanwhile, today called for greater representation of Quebec in the delegation that deals with the Americans. I'm also, frankly, slightly terrified for the Trump administration because I don't think a fight with Quebec over language laws is the fight that you want to pick. Mais bonne chance. Meanwhile, the Conservatives have dropped even more candidates. They're up to 4 candidates out in 2 days now. This guy apparently did a care react on Facebook to a comment suggesting that Canadian residents should be deported to India so that they can be taken care of by Prime Minister Modi. And Poilievre is facing pressure to ditch his candidate Aaron Gunn, which is the least surprising thing ever. I was shocked when he was announced as a candidate. According to this article, Gunn made posts on X between 2019 and 2021 denying that Indigenous peoples faced a genocide in Canada and that, quote, residential schools were asked for by Indigenous bands. I also spent a little time on Aaron's social media today and saw that he's really cool towards women too, telling us that apparently the gender pay gap doesn't exist. It does. After those biological clock remarks Poilievre made, I'm sure that posts like this from Conservative candidates will send women running right back. However, Poilievre has been doing one thing a little bit better lately. He has, when specifically asked, promoted Canadian unity. Like after Preston Manning said that a Carney win will fuel Western secession, Poilievre rejected that and said, we need to unite the country, we need to bring all Canadians together in a spirit of common ground. This comes after Poilievre also, when asked if he has sort of gone around the government and tried to deal directly with the Americans, said he hasn't because he doesn't want to divide our approach. So it sounds like he might be listening, if only just a little bit, to those Conservatives who have been leaking to the media their concerns about his campaign. But yeah, that's basically where we're at with day 12. I'll see you tomorrow because we know there's going to be a lot more happening between now and then. What do you think of all this?